Today's video is just a short introduction to K2. K2 is mostly a blogging platform, but it's also a tool that you can use as a content construction kit, which means you can create very specific layouts and manipulate those layouts as needed site by site. So if you have K2 installed on your site, it could be used for a blog, or it may be used as a listings component or a real estate component or a catalog component. So everybody has a different need for their K2, but the way that K2 works is the same regardless of what you're using it for. So we're looking at a K2 page here on the front of the Mortex Joomla MTS site, and from the layout here you can see this is a typical category layout. And it's just going to give you the title, an image, and some text. It's going to tell you what it's published in and a read more button. And then as you go down, you'll see that each post has a title, image, text, tell you what category it's published in. You can select to show different tags and have a read more link. You can also turn commenting on and off. So that depends on how you want to manage your site. A lot of people don't like to have to manage comments because they can be very time consuming. So this tutorial is not going to cover managing comments. It's only going to be in creating items. So I've logged into the back end of the site, and once I'm here, I'm going to go to Components, K2. And from K2, I'm going to look at my items. And it brings you to your items, and items are your blog post or your listing items. Again, whatever you're using your site for. And this is going to list all of them. Some of you may have a really long lists here, and it can get difficult to manage and find them. In this example, I'm only using one category. But let's say you had quite a few and you wanted to look at and find your listings in one category or another. It's easier to view them if you go ahead and filter them according to your category one at a time. Since I already have two, or only have two, it's really easy to manage. So let's take a look at this first one on top. Now it's typically going to show the one that you did last at the top, and then anything that you've done before it below that. So the latest one will always float to the top. That's its default setting, but you can change the settings. Again, this isn't going to go over to how to set up your parameters. This is just basic editing. So from K2, you can select your items, and let's take a look at this top item. One of the things I noticed on this top item that I don't like is that we're using a lot of teaser text. So I want to go in here and place a read more. And so I'm going to do that right there. I'm going to place my cursor right here next to where I'd like the read more, a button that says read more to appear. And then I'm going to insert the read more here, or if you go down below that, you can see a little button. You can just click on that. And then you'll see a gray bar, and that lets you know that this is going to be a read more button right after that text. So I'm going to hit save, go to the front of the site, refresh my browser, and now you can see where I had put my cursor and put my read more button there. If I don't do that, you're still going to get a link to read more. Unfortunately, you're going to get all the text. Now, if you are writing a long article or have a lot of information in that item, and you have 3 or 4, that may not be a big deal. But if you have 30 or 40, imagine how long that page is going to get, particularly if you're somebody looking at it on a mobile phone. Your visitors may not have the patience to go all the way down and see all of your posts. So if you truncate them by adding a read more button, it's a little more user friendly, and then people can see what you've got to offer and just pick on the ones that they want. So I'm going to click on that read more button. It's going to take me into the full screen. And the full screen is going to show me an image and some text. Okay, so let's go look at that. From this, you can see I have that same article open. I'm just going to expand that a little bit more. You can see I have the text here, but the image actually goes in the image tab right here. If you want to replace the image, you can either check this box and click Save to just completely get rid of it, or just browse for a new image and it will replace this image here. Depending on what type of browser and what type of computer you're on, that can be a little bit different from one to another, but basically it's push the button, find an image, hit save. So, you know, I pushed the button, I double clicked on the image that I wanted to save, and then I clicked on the save button. And so that's saved for me right there. And let's see what that would look like if I decided I wanted to change that out for a different image. I would hit save. And it's telling me the name of my image here. Okay. So we should have a new image in here. And if I go to the front of the site and I refresh my browser, it's going to show me the refreshed image right there. Okay, so if I wanted to create another article, I'm going to hit save and close and get out of that. I could do one of two things. I can just push the green new button, give it a title, select a category, type my text in here, select an image, hit save. Now I'm going to refresh my browser. Go back over to K2. And like I said, the latest one's going to float up to the top. And just because an item is featured doesn't mean it's going to float up to the top. Now there are settings you can set that can have items that are featured stick, but we don't have our settings set that way. So this is just going to get a little featured tag and that's all. And you can see here, there's really not much more to it than that. It's going to give me a direct link to it. And right now I have commenting turned on, so if somebody wanted to comment on that, they could. But there is another way you can do this as well. I'm going to hit save and close. And then I'm going to put a tick in the box next to does my site need SSL? And I'm going to come up to the top here and I'm going to copy it. Sometimes it's just easier. If you have a format that's already been written, sometimes it's easier just to copy and then to replace items. So it'll tell you that there's a copy of it and it's going to be unpublished. So you need to go in, make your changes, and then publish it. So I would change the title. And I'm going to remove the alias. And K2 is going to create a new one for you, so just leave it alone. Replace any tags I need to replace here. Replace whatever text I need to replace. Remove or move the read board button into a new area. Swap out the image that I wanted by hitting Browse, selecting a new image. And either double click on the image or click on Open. And then save and close. You can check to see when it brings you back if it is published or not. So it's not published right here, so I'm going to make sure I click on that right there from that list and publish it. Then I can go back to K2, and you can see here that I've got a bunch of items all neatly in a row, and I can open up and look at that item. That's it. It's really easy to work with K2. I hope you found this helpful.